I don't even know that.
He said he's never even really bench pressed.
I've never done a bench press. I have. Basically, if I look at a bench press, my chest grows, my proportions would be completely off. I've never done a bench. I've never do bench pressing. You don't do it either?
I really like.
All right. I don't train basically this portion of my body.
Do you do any dumbbell benching though?
No, I don't train my chest. I swear on my life.
Aren't you tempted to like touch his pec? Because it looks like there's something.
No.
Flex it real quick.
So, some of the rules for bench pressing is just, since you haven't done much of it at all, just find a grip that's comfortable. I don't really care where you put your hands. That goes for anybody who's watching right now. Some people like to have their hands wider. If going wider allows your shoulder to not hurt as much, then go ahead and go wider. Or if going in closer allows your shoulder not to hurt as much, go in closer. Kind of do whatever you have to do. Just make sure you have an even grip. One way we do that is we'll do thumb grip away from the smooth part of the bar. Smooth part of the bar is right here. This is called knurling right here. We'll go thumb grip away, or sometimes we'll go pinky on the power rings here, okay? So whatever grip you want to pick is up to you. We do like to squeeze the bar firmly. There's some commonalities between bench press, squat, deadlift, and really any of the movements that you end up doing in the gym, whether it's overhead press, just any kind of barbell movement. You do want to squeeze the bar firmly. When you squeeze something firmly, I can show you with Andrew here. Go ahead and shake my hand and just squeeze as hard as you can. You see how a whole arm structure, everything tightened up. And when you really try to put as much pressure as possible, your whole neck and everything, your whole body will tense up. If we were trying to do like a grip test and he registered, 400 pounds of pressure, you would see like when he came back, he would try to squeeze with his entire body. When we squeeze the barbell, we want to try to squeeze it with everything that we got, because we're trying to initiate all the way from our fingers all the way down through our toes. We want everything to be involved in a bench press. So as I lay back, I'm going to grab the bar. I'm going to grab the bar firmly. On all the exercises, bench, squat, deadlift, we normally, under most circumstances, want to have our chest kind of in an upward position. The reason for that is we want to have a neutral spine during the actual exercise itself. So once you get under load in a squat, or once you get under load in a deadlift, once you start to pick those weights up, a lot of times you'll tend to round over. You might round over like a sumo deadlift or conventional deadlift. You might round over a bit. But if you start in a really neutral, strong position, or what feels like arched, or what feels like having your chest up, when you go to pull that weight, your back might shift just a bit, but it'll still be in a good, strong, neutral position. When our back is in a neutral position and our head is in a neutral position, it's not too far down, it's not too far up, we're able to express the most amount of strength through our extremities. For this case, it's going to be our arms. So what to do with our arms? You're going to take the weight out. You want to pull weights out of the rack, out of the bench rack, and not push them out of the rack. If you go to push them out of the rack, you will push your shoulders here. This is a really bad way to try to bench press, because now it's going to be hard to organize my body, especially if the weight's heavy. If the weight's light, no problem, I could just readjust. It won't matter much, but if it's 200, 300, 400 pounds or whatever your max is, it's gonna be hard to kind of shuffle into position. So we wanna pull the weights out of the rack. I'm gonna show you how we set our shoulders beforehand. Pull the weights out of the rack. As we bring the weight down, you wanna bring the weight down to about your sternum. Some people like to bring it a little bit lower. Some people like to bring it a little bit higher. Kind of depends on the athlete and the person. For some people, they may have a little bit of a distended belly and they like the shortest distance, and they'll bench press off of the raised up belly. It's part of the reason why some of the biggest bench pressers in the world kind of have a power belly sitting there. It shortens that range of motion a bit. We want to get an arch in the bench press, and this is always a little area of controversy. We're not trying to arch the lower back. We are arching aggressively though through the upper back, and we are trying to take our shoulders, and if you want to take your shoulders and really try to screw them into the bench. We do the same thing on the squat and the same thing on the deadlift. We want to try to screw our feet into the floor, again, because we want to try to be as stable as we possibly can. There's a stance for every single sport that you ever do, and this is a powerlifting stance for a bench press, or the beginning parts of it. So you want to kind of screw your shoulder blades into the bench press. Chest is up, okay? Then we're gonna pull the weight out of the rack, and then we're gonna bench press. And when we bench press, you want to stack your bones. You want your wrist and fist over top of your elbows. So you're going to bring the elbows in close to your body. We don't want to be out here because this is a lot of extra range of motion. And as we come down with the bar, we'll be in the least advantageous position, which is with our elbow back behind our body. And the elbow will literally be less behind your body if it's kind of down and in. We can also protect our shoulder with our lat. If Nsima can turn around here and put his arms in like a bench press position. As he goes to tuck, you see that we got lat on tricep. We understand that not everyone's going to have this development, but this is crucial and important to help build strength, because this is another area where we can sneak in getting some leverage. Some people will do it through muscle, through getting jacked like Nsima has. Other people might do it through being a little bit heavier. And some people might do a combination of the two, being fat and jacked at the same time. Have this development, but this is crucial and important area where we can sneak in getting some leverage. Some people getting jacked like Nsima has. Other people might do it through being
tremendous potential, and then consider that if and when that's appropriate, right? But I think it is remarkable, you know. I've never seen a side delt put in the place of the rear delt, so that's
It's mind-boggling, and it's also really cool to see the progress that he's made too. I know we keep like giving him props, or we're giving him shit. We're doing like
both same time.
We just like to embarrass the hell out of him as much as possible. But I've been witness to it. I've seen him firsthand make a lot of progress. I've seen, you know, when you came into the gym and you were deadlifting, about how much were you deadlifting when you came in?
Like 620, 625.
620, and then he easily put, 755, it looked like when he did it in the competition, looked like he could have done like 3 reps with it. I mean, it was just, it was kind of ridiculous. And that's where people would say, oh, well, he must have done, you know, he got himself big, and he got himself into a position that probably didn't feel great, being like 260, because you're used to being leaner.
I was 272 at the peak when I pulled 270.
How much do you weigh now? Yeah, it's a great weight for you,
Yeah,
right?
I want to be back up.
Yeah, you find that sweet spot too, where it's the right weight for you, and that there's so many factors. It's related to height, joint size, the sports you've done, whether or not you have knees, and there's so many knees or between fat strength, athleticism, sweet spot factors, like all of those have to converge. And that's another reason to not go super extreme. All of those. Well, Mark, you can talk about that. I mean, you went, and that's another full strength. You were super extreme. You were shaped like you were completely like if you see two dogs, it was almost like a circle. Yeah, like if you see like a bulldog, a bull mastiff, right? And then you see a greyhound. Those are two very different creatures. Mark is going to have the advantage and the experience that a lot of human beings have not had in their lifetime of actually feeling like a different species within species. So who knows what's next? I mean, Ryan Hall, the runner, he ran for Stanford. He was a terrific runner, and now he's gotten really into weight training. So he's pulling 500 pounds and running sub 5-minute miles. And his wife is an Olympic level runner also. He's doing incredible things now with his strength, and he's gone from literally looking like a whippet to being a larger animal. Who knows, maybe someday you'll be you and Elliot Kipchoge or whatever, the marathoner. If anyone could beat the marathon record, it would be Mark.
I love running, and so far I've been really liking it a lot. But one more comment on him before we get back into bench pressing here is seeing him go from that 272 down to what he is now, 242. It didn't happen overnight, or 240. It didn't happen overnight. He's been working on it for a long time, plus with hours and hours and hours and hours of jiu-jitsu. And the lifting's always been consistent, so that's never been a thing for him. But you've been at jiu-jitsu for what, 5 years now?
6 years come December. 6 years.
He was only like I think you were a year in, maybe, when we met?
No, when I met, I hadn't started jiu-jitsu. Or maybe I started jiu-jitsu for like the past 5 or 6 months. But I was very new to it at that time. Very new.
So him going from the 272 that he was at to him where he is right now,
6 months,
I think people, they see his Instagram, they see his TikTok, and they're like, where he is right now. Holy shit, like that's awesome that he's like that lean and that jacked, but he's been lifting since he was a kid. And then on top of that, even in the 5 or 6 years that I've been around him, the progress that he's made has been insane. All right, back to bench pressing. So we're going to lay back on the bench. We're actually going to get into actually showing you the bench. I promise we're going to do it right now, right here. Oh. So we lay back, get an even grip. For me, this has always been my strongest grip. Not sure why, but it's always worked out well for me. At Super Training, we like to teach people to utilize the bar to get in the best position possible on all 3 lifts, bench, squat, deadlift. I like to lay flat. I like to experience what it would be like to lift in the shittiest way possible. So this would be flat back, my feet on the bench. I would have no leg drive, and I would have a really long range of motion. My arms aren't really necessarily short, so I got to figure out a way to kind of almost make myself short. And to make myself shorter and to gain stability and to decrease range of motion, we're going to do what I talked about earlier. And to gain we're going to get an arch. And so I'm going to get an arch by pulling on the bar. I'm going to pull my upper body up. I'm going to leave my lower body and my hips where they are. And I'm going to try to tuck my shoulder blades into my back pocket by pulling my elbows kind of down and in, flexing the rear delts, and going like that. By pulling it down and in. If you have a hard time doing that, you can have a spotter. Nsima, go ahead and just kind of crunch me in as I go to pick myself up and push down on my shoulders and push me like scoop under me and kind of push me. I never had Nsima do it before, but there you go, boom.
Oh,
Actually, grab my traps. I had Nsima do it. Grab my traps and push me up. Actually, and he just locked me into position. So if you're having a hard time understanding what that means, he just kind of push you there. You can also just kind of get a good squeeze here and really just try to pull like you're trying to do a pull-up. You can also just shove your shoulders here. The big mistake people make is they move their lower body down too, and all they do is slide down the bench. So leave your hips where they're at. In terms of where to have your eyes and all that kind of stuff, you want the barbell to be about even with your eyes. For me, my cue was always to kind of have my head a little higher than where the bench pad is. My cue was always to kind of head a little higher. And it's not going to stay there because I don't want to get teabagged. So I'm going to move my head strategically here. I'm going to tuck my shoulder blades into my back pocket, like I said. Have the chest up. Put the legs down kind of shoulder blades into my back pocket, like I said. Have the chest up. Legs down kind of gently. Different people do different things with their foot position. Some people will kick their feet underneath them. Do different things with their foot position. This is fine to do as well, and I kind of like this one because I can flex my butt and drive my hips up a little bit without my butt coming off the bench. Flex my totally impossible for me to get my butt off the bench in that position. But for me, that was always a position that's like wound a little too tight, and it would actually negatively impact my squat and my deadlift. So instead, I'll just kind of redo everything. I'll get in position here. Deadlift. Put my legs down here. I like to have my heels touching the ground. And even if you're someone that likes to be on your toes, it's like wound a little. You want to still drive your heels towards the ground during the whole entire range of motion. Even if your heels don't touch the ground. And that is because we want to have kind of a slope down here. We want to have our knee lower than our hip. That tells me that all this stuff is up in the air. And from here, we're going to scoop the weight out of the rack. We're not going to push it out of the rack because look, I just totally totally fucked myself over. So I'm going to go back to here, scoop the weight out of the rack. Everything's tucked. Everything's going to be up. Fuck the weight out of the rack. Keep everything up throughout the whole range of motion. The weight out of the rack. And now at the bottom, if you kind of get it right, you should be able to kind of feel that you can almost like pull the weight into you and be really strong, explosive as you go to push back up. Weight into you. Be really strong. Elbows aren't out like this. We're not benching to the neck. We're benching kind of below the nippy nips. Out like this. Some people, your nipples might be down here. Elbows below the nippy. You want to bench just a little bit below your nipples, kind of more towards your sternum. Elbows are tucked into the sides, kind of pressing below your nipple. As you go to bring the weight down, you want to bend the bar below the sides, like we're trying to. We're trying to take the bar, we want to bend the bar and like bend it around us. We're trying to balance that on there, but we're trying to bend the bar around your body. Okay, when we do a deadlift, we're trying to do the same thing. We're trying to bend the bar around our body because you can deadlift more with a trap bar than you can with a regular bar. Your body. It's because it's on the sides of your hands and allows you to get in a better position, have better leverage.
We're trying to do this.
We do a squat, we're trying to bend the bar over our back as well.
We're trying to do this thing.
All these things are to create leverage and to get yourself in a good position and to help create a lot of tightness.
Because you,
So again, we're here.
leverage and to help create a position and to help because you tightness more. With
Your legs are tight the whole time. You should be pushing
more with a trap
with your legs, like you're doing like a static leg extension the whole time.
Your legs,
And that'll also help with your foot stability. All right. Gonna have Andrew bench press after that long explanation of bench press. Andrew bench press. Andrew bench press.
Long explanation. Gift to be able to learn. What a gift to be able to learn.
After that, Andrew bench.
That's great. What a gift to be. What a gift.
Andrew bench press.
start with your feet up, and now go ahead and try to position your shoulders.
Yeah. So like right here with the knurling might it be about right. Do you do
Andrew bench press? Andrew bench.
Yeah, I'm going to start with your feet.
Yeah, I like to have full grip on bench press. The suicide grip. It's called the suicide grip. Andrew bench press.
Suicide grip.
Yeah, I like to have after that one.
Then legs are down.
Start with your feet up. First position.
Full grip. Andrew bench.
And then legs are down.
I'm going to start with your feet up.
And now to have full grip. Andrew press. The suicide grip.
And then legs are down.
Suicide grip.
Position your shoulders.
Yeah. Bench press. After that.
Okay. And then legs.
Feet up.
Suicide grip.
Position your shoulders.
Andrew bench press.
Bench press. Legs are
And
down.
Start now. Go ahead and try to.
Suicide grip.
That one. Legs are down.
And now go ahead and try.
After that one.
Suicide grip.
Start with your feet up.
Yeah, I like to have Andrew bench press.
Suicide grip.
Start with your feet up.
Yeah, I like to
Try to.
Andrew bench.
Suicide grip. It's called the suicide grip.
Have full grip. Bench press. After that one.
Okay. And then legs are
Up.
suicide grip. It's called the suicide.
And now go ahead and try to.
That one.
Bench press. Legs are down.
Your feet up.
Yeah, I like to have full Andrew bench press.
Suicide grip. Okay.
Start with your feet up.
Yeah, I like to have Andrew bench press.
Suicide grip. It's called the
Position.
full grip. Suicide grip.
Press. After that one.
And then legs are down.
Start with your
Full grip.
Bench press. After that one.
And then legs are down. Suicide grip. It's called the suicide
Yeah.
grip.
Andrew bench press.
Suicide grip.
feet up. Shoulders.
Yeah.
And now go ahead and try to.
Andrew bench press.
Legs are down.
Your feet up.
Yeah, I like to have full
Suicide grip.
after that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I like to have
Suicide grip.
So yeah, my
And then
AC
legs are
had an injury with it, so I take a slightly wider grip than I used to. Actually, no, I take a more narrow grip now, so I can stack more.
If I'm too wide,
No, I take a more
it's
narrow
harder to bring everything in.
yeah, if I'm too wide here, I can literally feel
harder to bring everything in.
my AC. But
You
my
guys
grip,
see,
literally,
go ahead.
I'm usually here. Go ahead. What's up?
You guys see how he kind of almost is like pulling himself towards the bar.
I can
That's
literally.
kind of what you want to do. I mean, if you kind of think about this as a row, then you can forget a lot of the stuff that I just said, and you can just practice trying to row with the barbell. Because that's really all that it is. So if he's thinking in his head right now, all right, I'm not going to worry about there's like a lot of mumbo jumbo with technique for bench pressing. I'm just going to row to like my sternum. Automatically puts your shoulders in the right position. Remember that cue that we give you guys all the time that we got from our buddy Brian Carroll? We want to do the reverse shrug. So the shrug is here, right? We want to do the reverse shrug and kind of have our arms down here because we want to have our arms kind of down, or the shoulder rather, down and in. So the arms are staying in the socket. Let's throw a 25 on there. So again, the technique is just kind of always the same. I'm gonna lock everything in. 5 on there. So Carol, we want to do kind of always the same. I'm gonna kind of lock everything in. So Carol, we want to do kind of always the same. I'm gonna kind of lock everything in. Carol, we want to do the same. Everything in. So Carol, we want to do kind of always the same. I'm gonna kind of lock everything in. So Carol, we want to do kind of always the same. I'm gonna kind of lock everything in. So Carol, we want to do kind of always the same. I'm gonna kind of lock everything in. So Carol, we want to do kind of always the same. I'd rather spend more time warming up with lighter weights than to spend time warming up with heavier stuff. Carol, we want to do. You know, I just need a little bit of practice with the lighter stuff, and then my body gets warm and I feel good usually. Lighter weights than to spend time warming up. Carol, we want to do.
Giving some stability. And then stack the bones? You said you don't want to be here because then.
You know, I just need a little bit of practice with the lighter stuff. People kind of have weight in their fingers rather than in their hands. Than to spend time warming up with heavier stuff. You know, I just need a little bit of practice. Some people kind of have the weight in their fingers rather than in. And to spend time warming up with heavier stuff. You know, I just need a little bit of practice. Some people kind of have the weight in their fingers rather than in. And to spend time warming up with heavier stuff. You know, I just need a little bit of practice. Some people kind of have the weight in their fingers rather than in. And to spend time warming up with heavier stuff. You know, I just need a little bit of practice. Some people kind of have the weight in their fingers rather than in. And to spend time warming up with heavier stuff. You know, I just need a little bit of practice. Some people kind of have the weight in their fingers rather than in. And to spend time warming up with heavier stuff. You know, I just need a little bit of practice. This is still totally acceptable. For those of you that might have some tight hips, this is technique right here. It's totally fine. But you get the shoulders organized again. I just need a little bit of practice. And go ahead and push your knees out a little bit, almost like you're. There you go. Yep. Okay. Good. Might have some tight hips.
That feels comfy.
You guys kind of see how the cue just kind of boom, snap them right into the shoulders organized. We want the elbows in even more. Go ahead and push your knees out.
I see. So tuck them in close like that.
Oh,
so I can use the lats. That feels comfy.
You guys kind of see how the cue just kind of. Yeah, that body's a little front spread there.
That feels comfy. There.
Yep.
That feels nice and strong. That's actually the first time I've ever felt my front delt engage.
Maybe rack it for a second. Let's just see what it looks like with a little bit closer to grip too. Almost like your gauge. Rack it for a second. Looks like with
my front delt
grip too. Just again. Yep.
Are you an exhale on effort?
I think you. Yeah, it's fine. You can do that.
Doesn't matter.
You can bring the weight down probably even lower.
Just chill on effort.
I think you. Yeah. And now what I want you to concentrate on is I want you to pull the weight. You can.
Are you an exhale?
Pull the weight. I want you to pull the weight towards you. Yeah. See how your chest was up so much right there? Do it again. Same thing. Yep. There we go. Yep. It's like you're fighting for position at the bottom. There we go. I know it's weird and kind of uncomfortable. It kind of stretches your shoulder a bit too, though, and you're like, I don't know if I. Yeah. I don't know if I dig that.
No, but that felt like
niche I've always wanted to see. I actually didn't know it.
So that feels good. But that felt like niche I've always wanted to see. I think I've been, whenever I said I've never bench pressed, but anytime I've gone to it, it always felt like a little pinch in the shoulder. It always felt like I was up here. Anytime I've gone to it, it always felt like a little pinch in the shoulder. It always felt like I was up here. Here.
Yeah. Imitate Zaragoza over there.
Yeah. Okay. Felt like a little pinch in the shoulder.
I was just kidding. He was saying he'd bench like this.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What do you mean by pulling the weight, and from where does the pulling occur?
I was just kidding. Yeah, it's like you might have a training partner who might give you a little bit of resistance, and you might want to pull it like that, just so you get the cue. You can also set up some bands in a rack and do like a reverse band bench press, which would be like a basically a row, a lying down row with a barbell. Do like a reverse band. It's kind of hard to describe. Basically a row. It's been a while since I've tried it, but let me see if I can do it. It's kind of hard to describe. You're literally just trying to like pull the weight in towards you with your back muscles, which is weird because you're actually literally using almost all of your muscles that are in the front of your body. But your pecs and lats, they work together. Your lats are going to statically contract. You're actually they're going to kind of widen out as you go to contract your pecs. Like that just happens naturally. As you're watching Nsima in his tank top, you can kind of see the lats are kind of popping out. And whenever a bodybuilder does that front lat spread, they're really just almost just flexing their pecs. And you'll see the lat come out. And sometimes the guy's lats are so big, it goes all the way underneath their armpits, all the way out by their shoulders, all the way down into their hips. So we want to try to figure out ways to engage the back. We normally figure out ways to engage the back when we're training our back, not necessarily training our chest, but in this case, we're really trying to work on pulling the weight down. So let me see what I normally figure out ways to engage the back.
It's almost like
training our back, not necessarily training our chest.
Reverse cable.
Yeah, in this case,
but your hands
we're
are
really
fixed,
trying to
so
work on pulling the weight down. So let me see what I can do here. See if I can.
It's almost like
When I got good at this stuff, I was actually able to do this with a lot of weight, and I was able to kind of like outrun the eccentric portion of the lift. I was able to kind of just move fast, and that way so when I could pause the weight and get the lift over with. I was able to kind of like outrun the eccentric portion of the lift. I was able to kind of just move fast, and that way. So it takes a long time to figure out how to be explosive in a movement. If you're not good in a movement, I wouldn't recommend that you start that way, but that was just kind of me trying to use my back. As soon as the weight is out and in a good position for me, I'm going to drive the elbows inward. From here is right where I'm going to squeeze my elbows, almost trying to squeeze my elbows together back behind my body, which I definitely don't have the ability to do. But almost like a swimmer driving their elbows back behind their body when they do their warm-ups, when they're stretching before they do their event. That's kind of almost what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of dropping this weight and having it pull right through me. But obviously I don't want to drop the weight on my chest. That would be ridiculous. But once I get to about here, I'm pulling in to me and through me. And so if I did a pause in a competition, and so if it's about here, pause in a competition, ridiculous. It's gonna look like that. That pause is actually just me squeezing and then chucking the weight back up. It'd be ridiculous. Like that. That pause.
I've seen you do that with 3 plates when you were heavier.
And chucking the weight.
Like you've done that with I've seen you do that.
Like 5 plates.
Yeah, you just you've done that with fucking. Yeah, it's weird. I never understood how you bench like that. I could never do that. I never understood.
Well, because it's.
I could how you bench. Done that.
If you can forget about this part, which looks totally unsafe. Once I'm at the bottom is when I really tighten up and I coil up. It's almost like somebody strategically rebounding on a squat.
It's like so. It's almost kind of like dive bomb.
It's like dive
bomb, but it's a controlled dive bomb.
It's a controlled dive bomb because I can kind of feel my back rebounding on a push into it. And the weights that I missed were just
almost kind of like dive.
They were weights that when I went to come back up, I almost didn't drop it fast enough, probably because I was scared. Push into it. 600 pounds. And as soon as that 600-pound load was registered in my body, which was when I got 3/4 done with the weight, 600 pounds. It wasn't right when I unwrapped it. I didn't feel it hardly at all when I unwrapped it. I felt some of it. But I dropped it. I heaved it. When all that piled up and registered in my brain, and my pec went. It wasn't right when I unwrapped it. I didn't feel it. Yeah, a couple times. I felt some of it.
What is it? And your
and when all that piled up and registered in my brain,
is what?
My pec went. My best bench in a bench shirt. You've probably seen bench shirts before. Is 854.
What is it?
And I did a 578-pound bench press raw.
Bench press raw is what?
Yeah, just t-shirt and this wrap. You've probably seen bench shirts before. Is 850.
Amazing. At what age?
And I did a 578
mid-30s
bench press raw. Yeah, probably 38 or something.
And you've been training for more than 10 years.
Yeah, I started training when I was really young. So at this point, I've been training for like right now, I've been training 31, 32 years. 38 or something.
I always say the best way to get really good at something is do it for 10 years.
Yeah,
and then do it for 10 more.
Right.
And then if you want to get really, really good, do it for 10 more.
Then you start realizing you don't know
the best way to
anything.
get really good at
Right.
something
Yep.
like for 10 years.
Yep.
And then do it for 10 more.
Oh, and it's nice to have done some dangerous shit. Like right now, and it's at least for now, it's behind me. I think you probably did more dangerous shit. Probably that was dumber though.
Whatever that means.
Well, it's nice. I've been training for and it's right now, at least for now, 31, 32 behind me.
Should we do a slight unrack here? Okay, so Andrew, I'm gonna do is.
Like right now, I've been training. It's at least for now, it's behind me.
Should we do a
get really good at something?
To do it slight unrack here?
Okay,
so Andrew, I'm gonna do is.
Okay. And do it for 10 more.
Like right now, at least for now, 31, 32 behind me.
Should we do a slight unrack here?
Probably that was dumber though.
Whatever that
So
means.
Andrew, I'm gonna do is.
Okay. Like right now, I've been training. It's at least for now, it's behind me.
Should we do a
Get really good at something?
probably to do it
slight
for 10
unrack
years.
here?
Probably that was
Okay,
dumber.
so Andrew, I'm gonna do is.
And do it for 10 more.
Like right now, at least for now, it's behind me.
Should we do a
Get really good at something is do it for 10 years.
Okay, so Andrew, I'm gonna do is.
Okay. And it's at least for now, it's.
I want to try one more thing. Let's rack it real quick. Okay, so when we unrack it this time, because remember, I don't want you to push into the bar and unrack. I want you to keep your shoulder. I kind of want you to pull the bar down.
It's just a scap roll.
Yeah.
Just a scap roll.
Don't go like that.
Okay. Yeah. That didn't seem a hand the weight to you.
Yeah. Okay, so Ready? 3, 2, 1, up, pull. There we go.
Yep. Good.
Good. Nice.
Something you can do is do one more rep. Go ahead and pause it and stay on your chest. Go ahead and pull your elbows in harder. Yep, and stay right there. You can just practice just that.
Yep. Just sit right there for a couple hours.
Yeah. Just for some of you that are new, that are like really working on it, like after your training session's over, you don't even need hardly any weight on the bar. You could have a 25 or even just like a 10 on the side. Some weight would be good. Just sit there and just kind of squeeze and kind of learn it, just like you would in a squat, just like you should be doing in a deadlift. I think that this sport's not practiced enough. Lifting weights is not practiced
Oh no,
enough.
because people get in, they're like, and I do think, you can get a great workout with 45 minutes, an amazing workout with 45 minutes, but you have to learn the movements. I mean, it takes, again, I feel so blessed to learn this from you guys because you really know what you're doing, but also there's a ton of bad information in gyms. Like, start with, it's
lifting is a practice, and other sports like jiu-jitsu or wrestling or soccer or football, like there's a lot of drills. People do a lot of drills, and then when it comes to lifting, for some reason I don't see anyone really drilling, although people will stretch and they'll do some stuff.
Sort of.
But I'd like to see people drill on their squats, like just when you're done with a workout, try squatting with your stance like this, try squatting with your stance like that. Try squatting with your toes pointed way out, try squatting with your toes straight ahead, try a box squat, try squatting with elevated heels, try with a flat shoe, just anything and everything. Mess around with your hands. Maybe you only have 2 fingers on the bar, and you've got your elbows underneath you. Maybe you're in close. There's a lot of combinations that you can get into. And I'd like to see people practice that more so they can find what really feels efficient for them.
Do you recommend if somebody's starting out or any stage that they just take one day, go into the gym for fun and just play with really light weights just to try and find the movements and the positioning that serves them best?
Absolutely.
With no intention of overloading the muscles. Just
No, that would be perfect. All right, we're going to get you into a slingshot now. Have you try one of these guys out?
I've seen these, but I don't know.
Yeah, try the blue one probably. It'll probably be good. What do we got here? Yeah, this should fit.
So what's the
You want to stick him in the red one. I see your face. I can see it in his face. So this is the slingshot, supportive upper body device, bench press, push-ups, dips. We're using it right here on the push-up, and it's going to help you with your form. This slides up, it goes on the tricep.
It's a training tool, or you use it for
training tool. Yep.
Yep. But do you use it in trying to hit PRs?
You
also?
can. Yeah. Most people get excited. They want to load the weight up with a ton of weight, but it was not necessarily designed for that. It was designed more for training than anything else.
I see.
Yeah, you can feel right away.
Yeah, the rear delt's like Nsima.
Yeah.
He laughs, right? It's not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
Go ahead and kind of pull your elbows back, and just get a little feel for it while you're standing here.
That feels good.
But you see how it automatically, just him doing some of these things, how he already looks like he's in a good solid bench position. So that's part of it. It's going to help pull your elbows in, and then it's also going to, that position I was talking about at the bottom where your elbows are pinned back behind your body. You think about the things the human body is designed to do. I don't know how well designed we are for a bench press. It actually kind of seems like a crap exercise when you kind of break it down. Having that much weight with both arms back behind your body, it's very clear we're able to throw and we're able to punch and we're able to do certain things with our arms. But that motion is just unique to a bench press kind of only. Yeah. A push-up is nothing similar to a bench press. The amount of weight that you have to push.
Right, and in a proper push-up, you're sealing all the leaks to sort of, Pavel Satsulin would say it far better than I would, and in a really incredible accent too. But when you're plugging all those leaks, and here it's harder to plug the leaks unless you have the hip mobility. The other thing is I noticed with this, I can really feel it in my middle trap, which feels really good. I've always had a hard time engaging the middle trap, that the kind of center of the back, especially as it gets down towards the middle of the back. So
well said. Let's have you try. Let's get the bar to the front, or this part.
Let's roll it
there.
Oh, I see. Okay. And is this an appropriate place on my elbows?
Yeah.
All right. Ready? 3.
Wait, let me brace my neck. I actually like to push back against it with my neck. Yep.
Okay.
I'm just good.
3,
Yep.
2, 1, up, out. There we go.
Oh, that feels good.
Yeah, you're gonna blast off at the bottom.
And this is a great way to learn how to do that pull that I was talking about earlier. That's part of how I was able to learn how to be so explosive, was to use slingshots and to really pull weights right through the slingshot almost.
So I notice I have a tendency to roll it back. See my wrist want to go back. You're saying keep it stacked.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, we don't care what you have a tendency to do. We want you to do it the right way.
That elbow seems to want to come out more.
Yep. There you go.
Nice.
Getting reps on reps.
that feels good.
One thing Andrew was bringing up there is he was talking about his wrist rolling back. You know, you don't want to hold the weight in your fingers during a bench press. You want to really try to hold the weight in like the meat of your hand. So you want to squeeze. You want to really squeeze the bar. Like when I was lifting my heaviest weights, my hands actually looked like pancakes. They were just so friggin' fat. The sides of them had just a little bit more muscle mass to them from like squeezing the bar and really making sure that those weights didn't go back in here. And then also, if you're to think about it in terms of like trying to produce a lot of force, you know, if you were to throw a punch at somebody and you connected with your bones stacked, that would probably be a pretty good punch. But if I came in like this, I mean, it's probably not going to be all that effective. So you really want to try to squeeze the bar. That'll help engage the forearm and help engage the arm to a point where you should be able to kind of hold it in place. I think we covered everything for bench press. Let's move in just a little bit of broing it up with a little arm pump, and then we'll roll right into the podcast.